Hey guys, and welcome back to Grace for the Journey. If you have been journeying with us for a while, welcome back, welcome back. Glad to have you along with us. And if it's your first time here, a warm welcome to you. I hope you are blessed from this session and the others to come. So, today we're going to be talking about boundaries, being able to say no guilt free. And last episode, we talked about burnout, and I realized that a lot of the times we end up burnout, not every single time, but many times we end up burnout is because we have taken on more than our capacity allows, whether it's our physical capacity, emotional capacity, time capacity, financial capacity, whatever it may be. And then we fall into this place of burnout, and it's easier to be proactive than reactive. So we'll start with talking about, certain types of boundaries and how we can implement them in our lives and why we should not feel guilty by these boundaries. So there's some examples there. We got physical boundaries that has to do with personal touch. You may be familiar with that. You teach our kids, about boundaries when it comes to other people. That also has to do with personal space, right? Do you need time away for a little bit from the loved ones, from your job? There's emotional boundaries. Are you allowing people's emotions and people's attitude and their bad day to affect your bad day? Or are you able to, put a boundary up there and be like, no, you may be having a bad day, but I'm not allowing that in my space, right? When we talk about time boundaries, are you letting people set the pace for your day? This was one that I really struggled with actually quite a bit and for quite some time. I would be trying to plan and schedule things, this is work time, this is my family time. And I find that a lot of times when you're running your own business, you're not on a typical 9 to 5, and where the success of your business actually requires a lot more work than a 9 to 5. Or for people that work from home, it's harder to set those boundaries in place, and we have to be really intentional about that. So for me, I was a massage therapist and esthetician, so my business was fully catering to others. That's what I did. I served in my entire business, making others feel better. They come in with some ailment, some discomfort, some pain, and it's my job to take that pain away. They come in with some skin concerns. It's my job to make them feel more confident, right? I would be like, this is my day off. I am having 2 days off every week or 1 day off every week. And by the time a month has rolled around, I've probably taken 2 days off. I'll be like, this is the time I'm getting off. Getting off at 5, I'm getting off at 8, whatever the time is. And all someone has to do was call me and say, oh, my back, I don't know what happened. I pulled it at work or something, and I've already shifting my family who also needs my attention. I'm shifting my time away from them to cater to somebody because I feel responsible for them. So I realize that when our responsibilities get a little shifted and our priorities get shifted, that could affect the way we respond and address boundaries. And it's for me, there was a lot of people pleasing involved in that. I didn't want to disappoint. I didn't want somebody to put my business on blast or put me on blast that I didn't show up for them. Like I just wanted all good reviews and all good recommendations that Sharonda's available when you need her and go see her. She's great. But I wasn't thinking about how it was affecting the other people and my other responsibilities. And thankfully I was able to adjust it in time, but the other people started to actually be affected by my decisions in a bit. So be careful with that. Be very, very careful with how we are handling our boundaries, and be okay with boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that are meant to keep people out. Boundaries are necessary in order to keep you whole. Walls are built out of fear. Boundaries are built out of love. Boundaries say, this is how I can love you. This is the capacity that I have to love you while loving me and not hurting me. So this is not a wall. This is just me saying, this is all I've got. Walls isolate and boundaries protect. And what are we actually protecting? We are protecting the things that need our attention the most. We are protecting our mental health. We're protecting our mind, our soul, our heart, our physical bodies. I'm sure we've heard of stories so much about people that take their careers like so seriously. And you should take your career seriously, don't get me wrong. But to the point where their family is suffering. Like their family, their kids don't see them because they're just on this grind all the time. They're on this hustle all the time. And there's no work life balance. They just go, go, go. And at the end of the day, when it's time to retire, they don't even have their family around them, or maybe the job even kills them. So the family doesn't have them, right? So boundaries are there to protect the things that matter the most. And so maybe it's time to reflect and say what actually matters to me. What at the end of the day do I want to have if I could have nothing else, right? Who do I want around me, or what do I want around me? And make sure the way we are operating life, that whatever we're doing, we have boundaries up that will protect these things, that will protect these people. There's culture and some religions that glorify service. And I am a person that believes in service. I believe that we are here to serve others. But some of it is exaggerated to the point where you give and you give and you give and you give of everything you have until you have nothing left. There's some cultures where you do everything for your family, you do anything for their family, even if it hurts you, if it hurts your own immediate family, right? And we have to really be mindful of that, because I've heard it many times. How can you give from an empty cup? Like, how could you build someone up while you're actually broken and hurting inside when you need space, but you're there from 9 to 9, from 8 to 8, like 8 a.m. to 8 a.m., right? 24/7. How are you able to give all of that when you don't have anything to give, right? So understanding yourself, understanding what type of boundaries you need to set, and not letting culture, religion depict what that looks like. Yes, it can influence, but at the end of the day, everyone's different. We have to look at what's on your table. What have you been called to do? What's on your plate? Like, who do you have to cater to? Because a lot of times the people that made these rules before, life has changed quite a bit, right? And they're not dealing with the same thing that we are dealing with nowadays. So we really have to be mindful about what we have going on, how long we want to survive, what kind of life we want to have, what about our health, before we just say yes to everything and let everyone and everything in our space. And then when we think about the social aspect, social media, social media, social media. It has its place for sure, but and even beyond social media itself, just socially, especially women, there's this superhuman, superwoman syndrome. And yes, women, we're superwomen. We are superheroes. We don't wear a cape all the time, but we are. But we have to be careful that we're not just performing to prove that we can do it all, to prove that we can answer yes to everything, because we want to fit in to what the world is saying that a superwoman looks like, because we want to be called a superwoman, because we want to say we did it all and we can do it all and we could do it all by ourselves, right? So we have to be careful with this superwoman syndrome, and know that your worth is really not attached to how much people you can say yes to and how much things you can put on your plate. And do you have to be a part of this parents association and that parents association and this leadership team at work and this team at church? There's a time and place. Maybe for different seasons you can do different things, but when your health starts to be affected by all these yeses, right? It's becoming a problem, because if you keep going, God forbid, at that rate, even if these are things you really want to be involved in, they're not going to get any good out of you. They're just getting like menial work and menial effort, because you don't have the capacity for all of it. And it's okay. It's okay to be like, this is all I can handle this semester. This is all I can handle this season. Think about maternity leave But some maternity leaves in some countries are way less than some maternity leaves in others. But the reason for that, I'll speak for Canada. Your maternity leave is 12 months to 18 months. And I know some countries can go up to 2 years, but it's because your attention is needed for your newborn. That's your priority right now. That's who needs you. And so you are allowed to be away from work. Your job is secured because that's where your attention needs to be. Now, some countries haven't gotten hip to that yet. I won't call any names, but some countries it's 6 weeks. I don't know how. Some 3 months, 6 months. But the point I'm making is here different stages of your life, your capacity will change for certain stuff, and that's okay. And be okay with that. We don't have to be doing everything all the time, and we need to be okay. Over committing to things is actually self abandonment. And I spoke about the reasons already why it could happen. But I need you to think about saying yes to so many things is saying no to yourself. And if anybody you should be saying yes to, especially in this busy, very, very busy world, you need to say yes to yourself. The Bible even says that love your neighbors as you love yourself. So there's no loving of anybody else if there's no self-love. But that's a topic for another day. We'll be back with self-love, but seriously, you have to think about how things are affecting yourself. Now, I'm not saying to be selfish because we have to be givers. We have to be givers of resources, of time, of money, of advice, whatever. We must be givers, but we have to pace this. We have to pace ourselves. We cannot give to the point of feeling drained, give to the point where we're always trying to resurrect ourselves from a burnt out state. We can't keep doing that. It's actually not sustainable. And it takes a toll on your mental health. It takes a toll on your physical brain, on your physical body. It takes a toll on your actual heart, right? So we have to really be mindful of that as we are giving to others, as we should. One thing I would say is going to be very important as we make decisions on what we add onto our plate, who we help and when we help. We need to know the difference between conviction and guilt. Sometimes somebody could tell you a sad story and like a legit story, legit situation that they're going through, and there's a genuine feeling of, no, I need to help this person. I'm going to go out of my way because I need to help this person. And then there's a feeling of guilt that, what if I don't help this person? What are this family member going to think? Or what is this person going to think of me? Or what is the world going to think of me? Maybe you have a platform and maybe a lot of people know you. Maybe you're well known. And it's like, if I don't help this person and I have the financial capacity to, what will they think? But it's not coming from a place of conviction where this is a person that you're meant to help, or this person is worth you being on the phone an hour with when you should be doing something else. So we really need to be self-aware of, is this conviction or is this just guilt? Because a lot of decisions are made from people pleasing because we don't want people to think that we're bad people. We want people to, you want people to have a good impression of you, a good perspective of the way you handle life. Something that a very good friend reminded me of and constantly reminds me of is that I need to separate my feelings from the decisions I make. When I make certain decisions, I'd always be overthinking like, okay, this is a decision I know I need to make, but instead of just going through and making the decision, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what is this person going to think? What are they going to think about me? How will they respond? And she said something to me and she said, you're not responsible for their feelings of your decision. And it was like a mic drop. But we're really not responsible for how somebody reacts to your decision. And it could sound very cold-hearted if you have been, people pleasing for a while, or just saying yes out of guilt and not conviction for quite some time. But it's very freeing because I'm not in control of the way you respond to anything, really. There could be a life circumstance that happens that affects the entire world, but my response may be different from your response, and I'm not responsible for the way you respond to that. So why am I responsible? I cannot be responsible for the way you respond to my decision. And respectfully, I still need to stand by my decision and in hopes that you respect it. And it may sting a bit, especially if you've been used to hearing yes all the time from me. It may sting a bit. So as you start to say no, and I'm not just saying go around just telling people no, but as you just start to discern between, is this guilt? Is this conviction? Should I be a part of this? Should I not be a part of it? Be free. Like, be okay doing it. Be okay doing it, knowing that what needs your attention at this stage in your life, at this stage in the year, at this stage in the month, at this stage in the day, what needs your attention is going to get your attention. And that's all that matters. And, it may be easier for some to set the boundaries, but we need to also make sure we keep the boundaries. Because sometimes people don't set any to begin with, but then there's some people that are aware, they set them, and it's harder to keep. And I find that this is where I kind of fell into this trap quite a bit. I know what I need to do. I know what I could handle, but that guilt starts to creep in and cause me to go against my boundaries. Don't think that you need to overcompensate or over apologize. Be okay with where you are. Be okay just saying, I'm so sorry I'm unable to do this at this time. And I know the first couple times I started to hear this myself, like it stings a little bit. So it may sting the person a little bit, but they'll appreciate you for it, because it's better to be like, I don't have the capacity for this right now. Whatever kind of capacity, mental, emotional, financial, physical, I can't deal with this right now. And them to honor that decision that you've made, rather than you saying, yes, you can, and then you're not doing it to the best of your ability. You want to be here for a long time, and you want to be the best you can be. So, like, again, I'll say, don't look at boundaries as a wall to keep people out or to isolate them. Look at them as something that's keeping your peace. Boundaries are developed out of love. Walls are developed out of fear. And if you love yourself and if you love others, make sure you are doing the best you can, and make sure boundaries are a part of your daily life, because without them, you would be giving everything you've got while falling apart on the inside. And I would hate to see that happen to you or me, God forbid. So, yeah, as we keep walking on this journey, whatever your journey looks like, and trying to be our optimal best, and whether we're healing from something, whether we're just trying to just be the best that we can do and add value and be what God's called us to be. Just remember, boundaries are very essential on you doing that to the best of your ability and coming out and fulfilling your destiny without being burnout. So I'm going to end there, and we'll see you next time. But keep setting those healthy boundaries and keep pursuing your destiny. Bye for now.